that the sectors that have evolved in the advanced the most in the last decade due to technology innovation have been in the areas biotechnology, information and communication technologies, and environmentally sound technologies. Please visit the website on your screen to learn more about technology transfer in these areas. Next, I would like to provide you with some information on the negotiation process when acquiring technology from an external provider. Good negotiation is key, even when acquiring technology or systems from a department within your own organization. The ability to negotiate a rewarding deal is useful anytime and in all fields, but it's especially important when dealing with technology transfer in an economy that is undergoing a correction, and when organizations have been told to be very careful about big ticketed items such as technology spending. Technology negotiating has become a complex area that involves sophisticated procedures, complex laws, and interrelated business practices. Negotiating for technology is a process which requires behavioral and psychological expertise as well as contracting knowledge. Negotiations begin the first time a sales rep calls or when a request for competitive proposal is sent out, and it ends when the contract expires. Negotiation is important because it should result in a fair contract that ensures rights, remedies, and flexibility for your organization and its customers. It should also establish clear performance standards for the suppliers or the vendor. Technology negotiation and contracting is a complex subject, the details of which are beyond the scope of this presentation. However, I will attempt to expose you to a few considerations when negotiating and contracting for technology acquisition. First, start by defining your needs versus your preferences. This gives you a baseline for what is the minimum for which you need to negotiate. Evaluate the business value of the technology to your organization. This will give you an upper limit for what you will pay, or a walkaway price for the technology. Next, identify the decision maker and the deliverer in the company you are negotiating with. They will be the relevant persons with which to negotiate. Finally, especially in the technology context, the acquisition time frame is crucial. Determine what your time frame is and communicate this information to your vendor so that negotiations can proceed with appropriate speed. Joe Auer, an award-winning columnist for Computer World magazine, has also highlighted several aspects in the contracting part of the negotiations. First, consider multiple acquisition methods such as leasing, purchasing, short versus long-term contracts, in-house building, and outsourcing. Second, don't select a vendor until you have gone through competitive negotiations on everything, including the contract, with at least 2 potential vendors. Third, do not rely on vendors' promises and benefits unless they are written in the contract. And hold the customer personnel who trust these promises accountable for the promised benefits. Fourth, plan on including some contract remedies which specify some consequences that vendor will face if that company does not produce specified results. Next, business continuation and transition clauses are essential parts of the deal. Business continuation clause gives you the right to continue receiving services after the contract expires. A transition clause establishes criteria for a smooth, well-organized, non-antagonistic end to the contractual relationship. And finally, establish an internal team to be responsible for the planning, development, review, and audit of all contract-related documents, such as request for information, that is RFIs, request for proposals, that is RFPs, statement of work, SOWs, and the actual contracts. I would like to conclude by discussing 6 practical steps for implementing the synchronization model that we discussed earlier in your organizations. Keep in mind how our technology focus would come into play during this implementation process. Step 1 starts by looking at the organization and identifying the functional aspects that are seen as either a weakness of the organization or as needing a boost and renewed energizing. You may decide that your strategy needs a boost, as in IBM's case, or your organization's operations need a boost, as was the case in Nestlé's, or that your tactics needs rethinking. Next, put together an upper management team to analyze which element of the integrative model would best support the functional aspects identified in step 1. Let's call this the priority element. The reason for putting an upper management team together in this step is that all organizational projects need an upper management champion if their chances of success are to be increased. However, the actual buy-in by the organization will happen only when this initiative is owned and supported by the entire organization. The emotions of the employees at all levels, in all functional departments, can be positively engaged by utilizing a cross-functional, multi-level team as the group in charge of this program. In step 4, ask this cross-functional, multi-level team to conduct a pairwise synchronization analysis of every element in the model with the priority element identified in step 2. The idea is to identify organizational strengths by discovering the model elements with which the priority element can best be synchronized. These pairs will be the first priority in the synchronization process. You are now ready to write the blueprint for the synchronization. Assess how these 2 elements can work in harmony with each other so as to mutually further the needs and strengths of each other. For example, if technology is a priority element and synchronization with customer has been identified as the most feasible, then maybe your organization can use technology to monitor customer satisfactions with sales. The last step is a feedback loop. You should re-evaluate your decisions and progress in steps 2 to 5 at an appropriate frequency. In conclusion, technology will continue to be a leading factor for the success of all organizations, whether they be in education, business, or government. This is true because technology is driven by knowledge. A mammoth organization such as IBM remained flexible enough to shift its focus to the knowledge industry. A successful organization would anticipate market changes and be prepared for the same. There has been a knowledge revolution during the last few years. Those that don't become competent in knowledge acquisition will be doomed to fail. Those that do will flourish.
Let's get right to the questions now. Go ahead, Cuba.
Buenos días a todos.
Regarding ethics in technology innovation, these issues that were mentioned in today's video conference, we would like to know to see if there is any type of regulation reference for international organizations that really sanction infractions of technology within e-commerce. For example, such as in the areas of biotechnology, chemicals, or foods. And we would like to see if there's any type of remedy for this type of situations. For example, sometimes there are sales.
Okay, well, we need to respond to this question. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. The World Intellectual Property Organization, otherwise known as WIPO, is located in Geneva, and they take care of all the intellectual property rights, including the ethical aspects of that. There are other websites in terms of organizations that control this. One of them is located in America. I'll be happy to present you with the website of that organization. In the handouts that are given to you today, there is also a reference to Chadwick, who is the editor of the Concise Encyclopedia of the Ethics of New Technologies, which includes biotechnologies as well.
Thank you for your question. ITC's 12th and final program for this year will air December 4, 2003. For additional information, visit our website. Thank you and see you soon.